in NEMA and take it from there. So
diligently and determinedly save privately for a new library, and we have been saving this money, setting this money aside at town meeting every year for quite a while now, years and years. Town meeting expects it and supports it. And if ever there was a time when it was clear that we need a new library, I think this pandemic makes it perfectly clear. You know, we don't, our antique building that lacks running water and is only one room doesn't have space for people to social distance. Sanitation is nearly impossible. Staff and visitors can't wash their hands. The windows don't open. It's just, and it's just, it's really quite challenging and quite difficult to see how the actual library building is going to serve the town adequately in the next, year or so while we're still mitigating this pandemic. So that's my whole story. Does anyone have any questions?
Marianne, when do you know when the next time go around for the grant funds are?
So I don't know exactly. So there is a special pilot project that we are hoping for. The MBLC has created a pilot project for new construction in towns with the population under 2,000. So it can't be an addition renovation. It has to be a new building. And it will be a higher reimbursement rate than the 60% reimbursement rate, although they haven't landed exactly on a rate, but it will be higher than the 60%. They're going to do one project. They had anticipated announcing that project, maybe even in January, but everything is pushed out. So all of the projects that have been funded this year are pushed out a year. So right now we're in a holding pattern. So it's a great time to continue to save money. And now it's a pilot project. They're going to fund one project. There's no guarantee we'll get it. And then after that, but we are well positioned. We know how to apply for a grant. We have the need, and we have, and we've been saving money for years and have quite an impressive amount of money set aside for a future project. But there are probably other towns that, are likely to apply. And then, so this pilot project is funded with the last construction bond. So the funds are already earmarked for it. And then in the next construction round, which is, they're still working on, projects from the last round. They've got about 17 projects to continue to work through. So really that's 5+ years away. But the pilot project is looming. It's, 1 or 2 years away.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No? Okay. Thank you, Marianne. Very much appreciate you coming in. And I take.
AJ?
Sorry to chime in late here, but so I just want to make sure I understood a couple of points there. So at sort of like, if we were to assume our that the town of Shutesbury continues its annual appropriation, and the library continues to raise funds at a similar rate that it has in recent years, Do you think we would be well positioned to apply for that funding? I guess you were saying that there's potentially a pilot opportunity in 2 years.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I'm just thinking, is part of the evaluation criteria for that kind of demonstrating a significant amount of funds already having been raised and set aside for the project? Or
That would certainly give us points.
Okay.
So it's
Mhm.
so town commitment
Mhm.
gives you points. So demonstrated town commitment
that's not
and
what we wanted.
demonstrated support
Uh-huh.
would definitely give us points toward, whatever grant we applied for. So
And would they typically want to see that we would have sufficient funds raised for whatever proportion of the funding for the project would be coming from town funds as opposed to the grant funds?
so they most often what happens is towns, it's rare to sort of save money ahead of time like we've been doing.
Okay.
Most often what happens is towns get the grant and then
Yeah.
the town
Borrow.
votes to
Borrows,
fund
yeah,
the
yeah.
project.
Uh-huh.
And so we tried that.
Yeah.
We had a grant in 2011
Right.
and we came close, but we didn't do a good enough job convincing the town that
Right.
that that it was the right project and the right time.
Right.
So we just we started fundraising at that point in time, and
Mhm.
but we hadn't really we weren't really good at it back then.
Mhm.
We've gotten pretty good at it now, I think, and we've been raising privately about $25,000 a year. We cannot report that we've done that in 2020.
Yeah.
But we have raised more than 15,000 privately in 2020 without asking, really. We canceled our two big new library fund, Friends of the Library, New Library Fund projects are in the spring, in April and May. And we decided that nobody knew what was happening then. So we decided to skip them. And so, but people have continued to donate anyway. So we have raised some money, and and we are planning to bring those back this coming spring. We're hopeful that
Right.
things are going to be better. So, so it's good for the potential the future project. It's good for the town, and it's something. So I think the first year the town meeting gave 25,000 was 2013.
Right.
The year before that, it was 12 or 13,000.
Well, 5.
And and then we have been getting like smaller amounts, sort of almost like like $2,000 a year since 2007. And it's adding up, and it really, it really is going to look good on our grant application, and it's going to make it a lot easier for the town to support the project when it's time to do that. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Mary Ann, I wanted to ask you, first of all, I really appreciate your efforts to raise money privately, because I think that's really significant and important for this kind of a project. The library's always been a public-private affair and been funded by charitable donations. That's how it started, as far as I understand it. But in terms of this of state funding, what are your views on, number one, the availability of state funds, considering the state's fiscal circumstances going forward after COVID and all the revenue issues they're having? And two, the advisability of us spending money out of our budget during this COVID year to support a savings account, which I'll just say frankly is somewhat controversial, but certainly not essential the way that other things in our budget are.
So I think it's more essential than ever. We cannot, we've never been able to, since I've been library director, we have not been able to meet the needs of the town with the facility that we have. And now it's unimaginable how difficult it is. When we were letting people in before the numbers started to skyrocket in the state, we could let, one or two or sometimes three people into the library. It's going to be months and maybe a whole other year. And then, we don't really know. And there isn't anyone who isn't the scientists and the library designers in our government are telling us to expect more pandemics. I work in a building where I can't wash my hands. So I think it's more essential than ever that we continue to save money so that we can build a library that is safe for staff and library users alike, and that more than a couple of people can be in at a time. We can only have one staff person working in the library at a time, because you can't be 6 feet apart behind the library circulation desk. So that's that. So the pilot project is already funded. And the 17 libraries on the waiting list are already funded. So bonds have been issued. The state has already funded all of the current projects and this pilot project. What happens after that? Of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but this program has been in existence since the 1980s. People love it. New libraries are good for communities. And while it might take longer for the next big grant round to happen, I do believe that the next grant round is going to happen because libraries serve communities in unique and just amazing ways, and the need's not going to go away. In fact, the need is only going to be greater. So we're going to have the opportunity to build a flexible, modern building that meets the needs of the town. And I think we have a good chance coming up in, sooner than later, because the money is already there. And so I think the town is expecting this request at town meeting, and the town is going to support this request at town meeting. And I get it, Bob, that there are some people who don't ever want to see us build a new library and don't want to continue to fund this budget line. But my experience has been that town meeting enthusiastically supports this budget request.
Thank you. I just want to say, I don't oppose necessarily the building of a new library or expanding library services. Just so you know that. I'm just concerned this year as a member of the Finance Committee, particularly this year, about our budget and about the ramifications of the pandemic on the ability of our people to meet their obligations, including their taxes. And the other thing is, my objection to a lot of what's been going on in town is based upon my real firm belief that the town is being gentrified, and I really don't think that's a good thing for our community. And so my focus on money and on finances is basically driven by that perception, not by any objection whatsoever to libraries, certainly. Okay.
I do want to say this is exactly why the public-private.
Could you speak louder, please?
Yes,
Kate?
can you hear me now?
Very, very dimly.
Very dimly.
Sorry, is that any better?
That's better.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I do want to say that that's exactly why we have the public-private partnership, is so that the people who want the library the most are paying the most and trying really hard to keep the tax burden down for everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that when the state goes to fund a grant round, they don't do it out of the general fund. They borrow.
And they, well, and that, and so they issue a bond.
Yeah,
but
that's borrowing.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
And
that's-
so, and they just issued $150 million bond.
Mhm.
So,
And those
And-
bonds are what people actually buy as part of their portfolios if they're investors.
Right. And we're on complete, I'm no expert on these things, obviously, but the state is, like many other commonwealths in the country, is entering into new territory when it comes to their obligations, meeting their obligations. And they're certainly going to be borrowing, unless the government borrows to support them. They're going to be borrowing a lot of money coming up to meet their obligations. So it's going to be
I don't think.
strange times.
Any other questions for Mary Ann? Yes, AJ.
Quick one, not totally related to what we've been talking about, but I'm just curious if there were, if there was any use of CARES Act funding to support libraries. I can't say that I heard of anything specific, but was there anything in the CARES Act, and is there anything in the current stimulus legislation that is about to pass that's specifically available to libraries?
there was some, so the library benefited from the CARES Act grant that the town got by,
Right.
with some of the infrastructure to make, so we put up plexiglass
Mhm.
and we put in a ventilation system and other things like that. There is some programming money that went to the Board of Library Commissioners
Mhm.
that that they have then been distributing through a grant process. And so it's, I did apply in the first round and I didn't get it, but they are planning another grant round. They haven't
Got it.
announced it yet. There were several different things. Some just didn't apply to us because we don't have room or staff to manage equipment.
Mhm.
So some of it was like equipment funding to buy things like video cameras and really it's just, green screens and things like
Mhm.
that. And it's just me. I am only
Right.
one person with a
Mhm.
part-time, 11-hour a week assistant.
Mhm.
And I can't even really have volunteers helping me very much right now or gather people together. So I didn't go after any of the equipment. And I didn't, of course, the programming round was very popular. And so
Mhm.
I'll look at it the next time and see where my programming is and if I can add more programming. I right now I have, I'm almost back to the level of programming I had pre-pandemic. And again, it's just me now. So it's, it's a lot to manage. But yes,
Mhm.
there was some CARES Act money that went to libraries, but not for library construction.
Right.
Very good. Any other questions?
Well, I've spent most of the day reading the newest relief bill. Wasn't reading it for library support,
Mhm.
but I don't see a lot in there for it. I don't actually see anything for it. There are some funds for the Institute of Museum and Library Services, but they're for existing, Smithsonian Mall museum projects and stuff like that.
Thank you, Kate.
Thanks.
Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, Mary Ann, I thank you and the two members of your board very much for coming and spending time with us.
Thank you, Ellen.
So if you'd like to go now have supper, feel free.
Can I ask when you're going to be making your decisions?
I don't think we have quite decided.
Okay.
It won't be long.
Okay. All right, great.
I thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Thanks.
And everybody have a good holiday and stay healthy, please.
You too, Ellen. Okay. All right. Take good care.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.
Okay, who do we have in on an iPhone?
That's the chief.
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's-
guessing.
Okay,
Undercover.
Bob, what you sent, the email were just the regular budget requests for a
Okay,
whole
then I
bunch
sent
of
another
different.
one. I apologize, but I sent another one.
Oh,
which
you
is from
did?
Becky,
Okay. Let me look and see if that one's it.
I believe. You get it, Becky?
I don't know
I'm
yet.
going in for it.
Yeah, I got another one.
It's the right one, I believe. I believe.
Nope,
Um,
nope. That's the other one I found. It's not the right one either. I know I got it.
It's got SES, it's got the cars.
Yeah, it's got the capital request.
Yeah, it
Yes,
does.
it does, but it doesn't have the trucks.
No,
Yes,
it
it
wouldn't
does.
have it.
It does.
No, it has.
No, yeah, it does. It has a 2015 Explorer.
Oh, it
That's
does.
and oh,
Oh
that's
my
the old.
God, I missed it. It was, that one was 6 pages. That's, I'm
Yeah,
so,
it's got it, but it's kind of strange because some of them are shown as documents and some of them are just PDFs, so.
Okay, what are we looking at?
so it's
let me-
the last one that gives some quotes.
Let me see what I have. Okay, these are the bills. Okay, there's all the bills.
It's the one that says new cruiser
Yeah,
request.
request. Okay, I see that. I'm gonna click on it now and pick it up.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah,
Okay, so
just a second. Come on.
Yeah, I've got it here.
I'm gonna send it to Dan.
I'm printing it out.
Dan, are you there?
I'm here.
So if I send you,
An
the-
email, I should be able to get it. No problem.
okay, just in case you need to reference.
I'm out. Let me put myself on mute while.
She put herself on mute. Oh, but she's talking. Hello.
All right. It's so nice to see everybody be so patient.
We're all learning from being in COVID, the pandemic.
Yeah. Okay, Dan, I sent you your request.
Okay, perfect. Let me take a look at it.
So did they ever find that fellow that was missing down on Dudleyville Road or
No, they canceled the search.
really? So he never
Yep.
turned up?
I guess not. Becky, I do have the sheet in front of me.
Great.
Right.
Uh-oh.
All righty. Let's see here. Yeah, I think we were able to get this thing under 50. Let's see. There it is. Yep, just under 50.
So which one are you talking about, Dan?
This is gonna be the Explorer. Yeah, I think this is the Explorer. Yes, the Explorer. They actually got listed here at 47,000. But what I learned from last year, not last year, 2 years ago, or no, was it actually 3 years ago, Becky?
Mm, 2
It
years
was
ago.
like 2.5 or so.
2 years and 1 month.
Okay. So
So you're looking at the MHQ bid, the last one in the bunch?
yes, that's the one.
Ellen, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. It just finished. It tends to get very slow at times.
So the one that Chief is zeroing in on
Yeah.
is the MHQ bid that was the last in the packet, the Ford Explorer. It's called a Interceptor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same. It's the same SUV that we got last time.
Mhm.
So let's see. So I did look into the newer, I would say the hybrid. So I talked to two chiefs that actually are running these cars, and I talked to a few officers that have driven these cars. I guess they're running into a few issues with them being kind of a newer model. And it's stuff that basically pretty much all of it has to go to the dealership for any repairs. Hold on, I actually have an email from a chief here. Let me just check this real quick. So I talked to the Wolverham chief, and he has 2 or 3 of them, and he's actually not very satisfied with them as far as their reliability. There's been software issues and things that have to go back. Yes, they're covered under warranty, but I think they've been pretty disappointed with their performance so far. As far as what we've been dealing with the one we got 2 years ago, we've been very happy with the car itself, with the drivetrain. I think they still have some things they need to kinks they need to work out on the newer models. But I did look into them. I think you have to add, I think it's like 6,000 for the hybrid. It's around 6,000, I believe. So
Dan?
this,
Sorry.
I was going to ask Dan, then the problem Wilbraham's having is with a hybrid or with a regular?
no, with the hybrid,
Okay.
software issues,
Mhm.
apparently. I don't know
Okay.
the exact extent of it, but I guess there's software issues.
Mhm.
Not exactly sure what that is. I know it's stuff that instead of going, it's got to go to the dealer every time. Especially if it's obviously under warranty, it would go to the dealer. But I think their rollout, is the rollout's going the way it is. So, but
So Dan,
yes, sir.
Bob here. I'm curious now, it's on your letter, your covering letter, you just stated that the 15 is close to the 16 in years, so you'd like to have more separation for that reason. What other
Yes.
reason? What other reason would we want to replace the 15? Is there something wrong with it?
So my concern, Bob, is not the next year. It isn't the next year. So I don't know how it ended up that there was a 15 and 16 purchased in consecutive years. I don't know how that ended up happening. But the issue is both those cruisers are at around the same mileage. So within the next 8 months or so, both those cruisers are going to be ticking over 100,000 miles. And at 100,000 miles, around that, around that mileage is when we're going to start running into bigger problems. Just kind of, you're talking ball joints and, wear items that, with the roads that we have to travel in Shutesbury, the wear items certainly are, their life is limited to begin with. So my goal is to kind of keep, the goal would be to, replace, have a new vehicle every 3 years. Yeah, every 3 years. And that's where this vehicle would lie, because it wouldn't be until, Becky, correct me if I'm wrong, but this wouldn't be until after July 1.
Right.
Right. So this would
Well,
be,
you could buy it sooner if it's financed with free cash.
okay. But I mean, even if it's after, say it's after July 1, that's kind of what I was planning on. Then you would have your 18 and then your 2021, and then go from there. I guess, my concern is just the added expense that may come with two vehicles that are going to have over 100,000 miles on them. And you'll have to hang on to those two vehicles with that 100,000 on them. And the bigger issue is not the 15, but it's the 16. So now your 16 has 100,000 miles on it. It may have a little less. So even if you say he has 90,000 on it, you're doing, we're doing around 20,000 to 25,000 miles a year, depending. So if I waited to get a 2022 next fiscal year, you would be at around 125,000, give or take, on a line car. And that's an awful lot of mileage for a line car that our officers are going to be, traveling at, potentially high rates of speed to emergency calls. So that's my concern.
Do I recall correctly that the reason we had a 15 and a 16 was that one of the predecessors actually broke down? I mean, we couldn't replace it without a huge expense, so that's why we bought them in 2 years. Am I correct, Becky?
True,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, you are.
Okay. I didn't know exactly why that happened, Becky. I think
No,
Becky
you weren't
told me,
around
actually.
then.
Yeah.
No, you were around, and I think we had to use finance committee reserve to buy the 16. I could be wrong. I better check to be sure.
Okay.
But it was one of those that we got jammed up.
Yeah.
Where,
Bought
we waited
a car.
long.
I recall.
Excuse me, Bob?
I think we went out and bought a car because the other one was going to be too expensive to fix.
Yeah,
I think it was gonna be like $8,000, and it was a whole bunch of issues going wrong at the same time.
which
Okay.
can easily happen.
Yes.
Yeah, no. And that's, again, I understand, and I even expressed my concern to Becky, and, Becky and I spoke in regards to this capital request, and I completely understand the state of affairs right now, and I get it. I just don't want to, because the cost of cruisers is only going up, as you can see from last year's expense. And I'm not getting anything fancy at all. This is, there's actually, I looked through it and I want to cut things out of it. So, I'm not getting anything fancy, but the cost of cruisers is certainly going up. We got our last cruiser, Becky, I think for 38,000 even.
Yep.
And that was bare bones. So I can still certainly trim some, but you're talking, it went up $11,000 for the same cruiser. Maybe 10,000 if I can trim some stuff off, get a less expensive light bar. There's certain things that I can trim. But I guess, if it goes up $10,000, they already said if you wait till next year, it's already going to be 3% more. So I don't know, 50, I don't know exactly what that ends up being, but 3% more on top of that. They said off the, for the vehicle itself. So just the vehicle, this doesn't include anything that they add on. As you can see from the listing, on the bottom one, your equipment for the vehicle is $12,500. So I'm sure you can add $1,000 to that easy, without really, shaking a stick at it. And if the vehicle, if you just add just 3%, you're talking $3,000. And that's right off the bat. So, it definitely is going to go up. And I understand that, with everything going on with COVID, it certainly is not probably the best time to be spending extra capital expenditures. But what I don't want to do is put us in a position where we have to do something like purchase 2 cars back to back, because we do get into a position where that is. And also, I know I harp on it a lot, and Becky hears me harping on it. The liability to the department is my number one priority a lot of times. And if we have a line car out there, with 125,000 miles on it, I think that's a liability to the department, a liability to the town of Shutesbury. But again, this is something that I will bring up to you, and it's a decision to be made. I can promise you that I will keep the cruiser to the most bare bones it can be. There's a reason why the new cruiser that we got, 2 years ago has a light bar on top, and it doesn't have the slick top, because that was $1,000 more expensive. There's a bunch of things that I've cut out of that other cruiser to keep the price down, and I'm certain I can save a little bit more money on this cruiser here. I'm not one to embellish cruisers. As long as they're safe and they get us back and forth and people can see them, I'm happy about it. But there's certain things that can be saved. I would just have to really get down to the nitty gritty of it and figure it out. So,
Dan, does this include the, I'm looking down the list, and I'm assuming that it would be the transfer of the old radio equipment into the new one, or putting in the equipment that we're going to be getting from the state once they take over the, what do I want to call it? The communications.
Yeah. So we aren't going to be, we might fall into the ability to just kind of throw the new radio into this cruiser.
That's
But it
what I
would
was
really
thinking.
depend. Yeah, it would really depend on timing.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, I don't think it's all that expensive for them to. Yeah, there it is. Okay,
It's in here?
transfer the two-way radio is $230.
Oh, that's not bad.
It ends up being $470 total for the 2 radios, because we have the town radio and the town radio and the county radio. So it's $470. The grant that Walter has worked on, and what we are going to have done to switch over the radios, I believe it's going to end up covering it, and we're not going to have to pay out of pocket. So it's kind of like a wash in that sense. But I mean, it would be nice, yes, if we could just put the new radios in there, obviously.
Yeah, supposedly it's going to be done at state cost. They're trying to make sure that everybody gets the radios in the cruisers is what it comes down to.
It's well, we're moving at the speed of government right now.
Oh,
so.
I know. Yeah. I've been involved in this in the FERCog for like 20 something years, and this has been going on for at least 5.
Yeah.
But at least we finally got it. I mean, that the state finally agreed to pay for it.
Absolutely. We need them. Our county is sadly, our town is one of the worst towns in the entire county for radio reception. So it's definitely, it's needed for sure.
Yeah. That's why I brought it up, because I know a little bit about it and have been watching it for years. Any other questions for the chief? Yes, AJ.
So forgive me if I missed this, but I was just going through the documents here. But so this new cruiser is presumably replacing the 15 Explorer. Is that correct?
The 15.
No.
This is gonna be replacing the 15
Taurus.
Ford Taurus.
Okay.
So the goal would be, Becky and I have talked about this before. The goal is going to be to get rid of the Crown Vic. And the Ford Taurus will remain as a backup car. I think we
Oh, I see.
found,
Okay.
yeah, over the past couple years, I've certainly found that having the fourth vehicle has been very helpful in order to basically keep mileage off of the line cars. So, you know, the Ford Taurus now can be used to go to training or used to sit out on the road and idle for any details that require a cruiser, things of that nature, just to keep that wear and tear off of the line cars and put it onto something that doesn't get driven every single day.
Okay. So that, yeah, that was my question, was about whether this was replacing a vehicle that might have some value, like for potential
Yeah, no, the
trade-in or
Crown
something.
Vic.
No. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got it now.
the
Okay.
Crown Vic's worth. Yeah, it's not worth as much as the ground it's sitting on.
I-
That's for sure.
I didn't realize we were.
We can get something for the Crown Vic. I mean, my thought would be to put it on municipal bid and see what we can get for it. You know, if we get $1,000 out of the thing, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, that would be double what we got for the last one.
What's
Exactly. So,
what's wrong with the Crown Vic?
so the Crown Vic was working just fine, and then the shifter linkage that goes to the transmission broke. It's not I don't think it'll be a very expensive fix. I think it'll be a couple $100, but it is right now out of service because of that. Marcus said he got yelled at very, very explicitly by the troopers when he had to pull into a spot because he couldn't put it in reverse. It broke down at the academy.
Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's needs to be fixed. I had Chuck take a look at it, Becky. So
Good.
What about Eddie's Cruisers? Are they still around, or come on?
any what?
Eddie's Cruisers down in Hadley. Remember them?
Eddie's Cruise, they had Crown Vics, right? That's all they had.
They used to have, yeah.
I remember that place.
They've
I don't
been-
think they're around anymore.
No, there's a new building. where they used
Bike
to-
store there now.
Yep. We could definitely use some parts for sure.
Okay, do we have any other questions for the chief? No? Okay. Thank you very much, and thank you for dropping in on with us. And first of all, so on behalf of all of us, we're sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so now you can go get supper.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And
Thank
thank
you.
you for that. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay. Next, we come to the school. And Steve,
Steve, we're gonna have to wake you up.
yes, I think so.
Hey, Steve!
I got, yeah,
Don't be grouchy. Oh, come on.
been up since 5.
Oh, did you have to go in early today because of the,
Well, yeah, up since 4, out at 5.
oh, that'll
Maybe
do it.
had a nap.
Okay, we had two pieces of requests from you. First of all was to increase by the money to purchase the slider replacement at the school. Now, I think we pretty well understand, I hope we understand why this is necessary. Are there any questions on why we couldn't use the $4,000 that we were intending to use last year? Yes, Bob.
Yeah, well, my recollection was that we never discussed using that $4,000 for the doors. We discussed moving that into the floor project, which was an ongoing project at the school. And we considered that money was left over from the last round of floor replacements, improvements, et cetera. And we were going to just pocket that and use it for the next one. However, on the sliders, I did get involved, and Steve knows, and I did talk to Matt and look at the deal there. And I did recommend that we get Marvin, and we were doing the north side of the courtyard where the conference room is. And at the time that I did that, I did go out and get pricing from RK Miles for Marvin sliders, 2 6-footers to replace the existing 12-foot, which my understanding was that was what we wanted to do. That's what the school wanted to do, and that's what Matt and I'm sorry, but I forget his assistant's name. We're going. Pardon me.
Andy.
Andy, we're going to replace them. And I thought it'd be a better deal for us to spend a little more and get what I thought was a better unit, that is the Marvin. So the issue of needing more money for that, it sort of puzzled me. So I went back and I got Coles to quote 3 versions of this job, Marvin 6-foot sliders times 2, three levels. One is what I call the integrity line, which is a fiberglass unit, which are pretty damn good windows. That's the lowest cost. Then there's a middle cost, which is an integrity, which is a fiberglass again, but with a wooden interior, which costs more. And then finally, what I had quoted last year, which is a wooden slider with a clad exterior, which would match the windows that are in the school because they're clad with aluminum, bronze colored aluminum, I believe. So I got those 3 quotes from Kohl's, and all 3 of those quotes are under $7,200 for the parts for two units. So I don't get why we need more money. I don't know. I called Matt, and he said that he got involved with Bruce, and Bruce was helping him, and Bruce suggested that he needed more money. So he couldn't explain to me why he needed more money. So maybe Steve, you can explain it. I don't get it.
Or Becky,
Oh,
maybe?
no, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Steve. I
Well,
just,
Steve's muted. There,
Oh, I'm muted.
no, he's muted again. There,
Is that working now?
yeah, now
Okay.
you're not muted.
All right. Yeah, so Bruce had work done at both Leverett and I believe Irving on the same type of project. And he's in the process of getting us a quote for someone to do this one because Matt's made it clear that he and Andy have no time for anything besides the floors and cleaning. That's what they're up to
Mhm.
now. So I just think we just leave that as is until we hear from Bruce and his quote for having the doors done.
That makes more sense to me then, because I didn't get the last time we met and it was discussed. I didn't understand what it all meant. So I did do a little recheck on the price for the materials. But if we have to get labor and do an install and pay for it, of course, it's going to cost more.
Yeah, by
So
far.
let's see what Bruce comes up with then. That makes sense.
Do we have any idea when Bruce will have completed that part of the process?
He was just waiting on, they've come and looked at it and he's just waiting for the
Mhm.
quote to arrive. Because
Okay.
when I spoke to him Thursday night at our school committee meeting and he said he thought he would have already had it.
Okay, great.
Good. Okay, then. So therefore, what I'm hearing is that perhaps we should wait and see what Bruce comes up with for quotes before we go any further on this piece. Am I correct?
Makes
Okay,
sense.
then why don't we table it until whenever we hear, we have to call another meeting then in order to do this, but that's fine. Is that okay with everyone? Okay, but now we're on to the school roof.
Right.
And I think we all know the situation. And Bob, do you want to say anything about it, or Steve?
I'd
Or
like to just like to know more about it myself and like to find out what happened. Did the engineering go out to bid, Beck?
it's gone out to bid and the bids are due back, I think, the second week in January.
Great.
And this is for engineer or designer.
Yeah.
It's not a construction bid. The the folks that we're hiring here will help with the bid for the big job.
And the only reason the school had it put on for the capital planning is because we had never actually gotten it onto paper anywhere that we like a new roof. So we thought this was a good place to start.
Yeah. Because I
Not
kept
that-
saying, why are we involved in it at all? I mean, but
Well, it
okay,
doesn't hurt, right? Doesn't hurt.
doesn't hurt. Okay, then. Any other questions on this? We know this is going to come up. Michael, did you have a question or you were just crumbling?
No, I'm just writing notes.
Oh, okay. Something was coming in and you were getting yellow, which told me.
No, that was the flipping of the paper.
Oh, okay. Well, then I think that does it for tonight. Do you want to spend a little bit of time discussing the requests, or shall we table it until we have the two school issues? What is our goal in terms of when we have this information for the finance committee, Becky?
March?
Oh, so we've got some time yet.
Yep.
So what would the committee like to do?
Let's have another meeting.
Why not, right?
As long as Steve can stay awake.
As long as he's not out plowing snow.
Have one at 5 in the morning for Steve.
Okay.
No, thank you.
You'd probably be the only one there.
Right,
Could
definitely.
probably make it.
Okay, so do we want to set a date or do we want to just wait until we get some of the stuff we need?
Why don't we work on a date in January?
Okay.
Okay.
What, did you have a January calendar, Becky? Of when everybody else is meeting so we don't collide?
It's not, I don't have everybody on it yet, so I just know if we stick to a Thursday, like the 7th,
What about Mondays?
28th, what?
What about Monday?
I'm not available the fourth Monday.
But the
I have
11th,
another Zoom.
11th or the 18th or,
Well, the 18th is Martin Luther King Day.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
How about the 25th?
that's the 4th. No, that's the 3rd,
yeah,
4th, yeah.
yeah, it's the fourth. I'm tied up on the fourth
okay.
Monday.
I'm leery of the 4th of January, just because
Yeah.
if you're trying to get information from people, people are just getting back.
How about
That's too
February
close.
1st?
When?
2/1, February 1st.
Okay. It's a Monday. What else happens?
It's tax day, Ellen. Is that going to make a big difference?
No. It just
Okay.
means I usually
Um,
put about 3 more hours in at work in the
I
afternoon.
have a meeting on the 1st starting at 6.
Oh, okay. So that's not good.
The 8th of February?
Works for me.
It's fine with me. Best of my
I'm
knowledge.
okay with that.
Works with me.
Write it down.
All right.
Good.
So
5:30?
5:30 or
Yeah.
5:30 is good for me.
Okay.
5:30
And among-
on the 8th.
Okay, we will work on those other two, assuming they're in, and we will also discuss the ones we've just heard about today,
Okay. Sounds good.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
Now, does anyone have anything else to bring up to the committee?
Just so you all are aware, the window in the principal, well, in the, where Jessica sits it has a leak in it,
Oh, no.
but it's probably coming from the roof and down out the window.
Really? And where Jessica sits in the school?
It's right, yeah,
Uh-huh.
the one facing the parking lot.
Okay. Well, I can go look at it and see what I think,
It's, yeah, Bob, it's the
Call her
same
up.
window when Tony was there. It's doing it again. So it's probably the old leak is new again.
I'll go over there and see what I can see. All right,
Okay, make sure they do have students in the school, so we have
I'll call
to,
them. I don't want to just show up
Right.
banging on the window pane.
yeah. Why don't we, Bob, let's go together so I can,
Okay, well, we'll coordinate, okay?
sounds good.
So the students are in the school this week,
Right.
probably till Thursday, and then they won't be in again until the 19th of January.
Whoa, really?
Yep.
So
Thought
are
had
they,
a week at school then, huh?
are they remoting for those 2 weeks in January, or are they not having school?
They're doing remote.
Uh,
It's concerned because of what happened after Thanksgiving.
yeah,
The numbers really
I know.
went
How'd it
up.
work out the first 2 weeks, or the only 2 weeks that we've had school? Steve,
So far, so good. There's a few odd issues, but otherwise they did it. Most of the teachers weren't happy that they did it, but the students were.
oh, the students must be happy to be at school, really. I mean, that's a tough thing to say, but I think it's probably true. See all their friends and everything.
Yeah.
Well, great. Hopefully they can see more of their friends and get more schooling soon.
And they were back for 3 weeks, weren't they? What, won't it be 3 weeks?
That was the 7th when they started, I believe, so.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
not even. It is just 2, right?
3 weeks.
Including this week.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so after Christmas, we'll go over there, okay?
Sounds
We'll do it this week. They have students in there, we might as well just wait. They're gonna be, after Christmas, they're gonna be gone, right?
Yep,
Okay,
that's a good plan.
Okay,
Right.
anything else to discuss?
happy Christmas, Hanukkah, and all that good stuff.
Yes, have a wonderful holidays and please, and a safe new year. And we'll see you on February 8th. And could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I'll second that emotion.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Great.
Yeah.
Just
Good
be
night.
careful,
Good night,
everyone, please.
Okay.
Don't want any more problems.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.